Hey everybody, how you doing? Thank you for being here with Chef Anthony. Right now I'm test kitchen at home. My moment to myself, an opportunity for me to be able to be a little creative with some stuff here, and I just got came in from the store, and as we set this camera down and getting ready to put magic, put some miracle hands to magic. I went to the store and I got me some grouper, and I had a grouper cleaned and cut. And here I have a whole bag of a whole grouper already cut, clean, and ready to put to work. So I'm gonna be working with some grouper right now. In addition to the grouper, what I'm making is fish tea. We in the island we would call it fish tea. Here we would consider it as fish soup. In this particular mix of this fish tea, the grouper that we are going to be using, we have some onions, celery. We have celery, onion, thyme, carrots, some potatoes. I even have yellow yam. I have Tanya. Looks like a potato, it's a family of potato. We have potatoes that we're going to be cutting up to put into this as well. Down here and add a little bit of oil. Don't need much. We're gonna put all of that to good work. So we're gonna go ahead and slice a couple of the celery. Basic soup requires celery, onion, and garlic. So always keep that in mind. Just a basic soup. Just slice off just a few of what we will be needing. Go ahead and add that into the bowl. Grab hold of the onion and we're gonna chop the onion down. Move that over just for a quick second while I catch up on this onion cutting. So I'm going to utilize the entire onion. Gonna add that to the celery that we have. I'm gonna take some fresh thyme. I love using thyme into the fish soup or fish tea, whichever you prefer to call it. I'm gonna add a couple stems, and then the rest of it I'll chop it away. Basically rough chopping it. All right, that's what we have. That's what we have. We're gonna add some garlic in there. And I'm going to mix all of this together, and I'm going to pour this into the pot. Then we're going to add the fish. We're going to allow this to saute itself for a little bit, approximately about a minute, minute and a half. Then we're going to go ahead immediately and add the fish in, and add a little seasoning, and allow that to steam. You want to make sure you stir it around. All right, allowing the oil and the heat to get through. Then I rinse the fish off with some with a little bit of vinegar. You can also use rice wine apple cider vinegar, and that's what I've used. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pour that in there. And what we're going to do is to allow this to steam just for a tad bit. Cover that down, give that a moment. And inside this bowl here we have the tanyas, which are the white ones that looks like straight white potatoes, but that's not what a potato is. This is a potato. This is a white potato, which we call Irish potato. And then as you can see, the carrots, I cut them up. So we have tanya, we have the yam. And when you're basically doing the soup, You want to kind of make this the yellow yam. If you're going to add some yellow yams in there, you want to kind of make sure that you while you're preparing this process part of it, basically cutting up your vegetables and sort of kind of getting it ready to add to the pot. You want to make sure that you kind of keep them in some water so that the potatoes don't turn brown on you. Likewise, as it would relates to the yellow potatoes. So what I did is actually kind of slightly partially cook these by themselves. Once you cut the yellow potato, the yellow yam I should state, is that immediately have some hot water so that you could put in cold water and then kind of drop it immediately into the hot water and allow it to basically stay in its own context before you're going to transfer that over to the soup. Because why I'm stating that, because they will turn brown and you are turned off very quickly, and by when you're cooking it from the conditions of it is that the skin would make the yellow yam taste bitter. So to avoid the bitterness, you want to kind of do that little separate process just to get you going. All right, so now we're gonna come in here. We're gonna give this a nice little stir, kind of move around the fish and the rest of the ingredients that's in there. All right, it's pretty good. Immediately now we want to then go ahead on and we could add in our potatoes. Okay, we add in our potatoes that already had a little bit of water that was in it. We're gonna add some more water because we want to bring it up to where the water level is over the vegetables. We're gonna bring this in a little closer. I wanna make sure we can capture this here. Now we're gonna allow this to come into its full process of boiling. Meanwhile, now I could go ahead and I'm gonna add in some complete seasoning. I want it to be well flavored, so depending on you, you could put in as much as you want, but I'm because I know how much I'm measuring, so I'm basically using a good 2.5 tablespoons of that. We're gonna add in some okras. I have some fresh okras here that's already frozen from the supermarket. I'm gonna add a few of that in there. In addition to that, we're also gonna add in getting ready now to chop up some cilantro leaf. It's called cilantro, which is pretty much almost like a cilantro, but it's more of a celery type. What I'm kind of want to say is kind of in between both native of a cilantro and a celery. So it's called cilantro. Also, just to the finalization of this. Before it actually comes to a complete finish, we're gonna add in a little bit of fish flavoring. This is very good when you add it in because it has these little slight noodles that really embodies the soup itself, and I love doing that. And also fresh pumpkin. I'm going to use the Stokies because I'm going to utilize some of the pumpkin that's already there in the can. Usually I prefer just using it all fresh. However, just for the sake of time, I'm going to utilize that for one particular reason, because it's going to give definition or color to the fish tea. All right. We're going to go ahead and add in a few chops of the cilantro, so that while the soup is densifying or is practically cooking down, this would disintegrate into it. Also enhancing the flavor. Take the camera back just a little bit. Now we're gonna take this and we're gonna cut it all the way down. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead on and we're gonna add that too. Get it all in there. Wonderful. Now I won't do anything for about another about 4 to 5 minutes. Then I would add in the remainder of these particular ingredients, which would be the okra, which we could go ahead and set it up right now. Add in a few pieces of the okra there. Gonna go into the soup. All right, I love okra, so okra or okra, however you want to consider to call it, okra. We're gonna add in some of that. The same way that you just saw that, this is what would happen if we had utilized a complete fresh pumpkin. It would just basically disintegrates right into the soup. Now, as we get to that 5-minute window, then we're going to pour the remainder part of this soup in there and allow it to keep on simmering, cooking away. Until it's done. We can't forget that we still have the yellow yam that's sitting on the side, and it's practically cooked. Not really cooked, but it's partial of the way cooked. So I'm going to need to also add that in there so that it could actually finish up its way. Go ahead on and add that in there one time. We have at least a good 3.5 minutes into this steaming or the boiling process, so I want to kind of take a good look at it. Kind of stir it around and make sure that nothing is sticking at the bottom, which is good. Everything is nice and white. We're going to add in the rest of the ingredients. Make sure we get it all in there, so pour a little bit of the juice into the bowl and allow that to make sure it's all in there. I want nothing to go on undone. I want everything to be at one big happy family. We're just going to allow that to take its time now and go to the final stages of the finishing touch. At this time, this is when you would also add in a Scotch bonnet pepper, just one whole pepper. You just basically put some slits into it and just throw it in. Don't cut it up because it will release the heat of the hot pepper into it. But if you actually just cut it and lay it in there, it would also release the heat, but not as aggressively. And this is basically where you were just going ahead and turning heat down to a third of the actual full-fledged of the heat at high heat, and allow it to simmer. You want to keep an eye on it. You want to come back and check on it. You want to stir it up just to make sure that your potatoes did not go to the bottom and stick, nor your pasta, but that everything is actually cooking and is up in a flare, so that you know once it's actually within the next 3 to 4 minutes, your soup is at its peak of readiness. So don't rush it. Allow it to take its time to cook properly. When this is good and ready, to all of my picante, caliente sisters and brothers, you can use the green pepper hot Cholula sauce, but I would suggest that if you have guests that likes their food without all that heat in it, then don't add it in there. That's why I say it's best you make it by itself, and then when you get your bowl, you pour as much pepper as you want in there to make it as caliente as you want, so that you are satisfied. All right. Another thing that you could also do to this is that you could add in some dumplings, but I don't choose not to do that today. This is something I was it got into my spirit. I said, you know what, I'm gonna have me a group of head soup. Now, something that I would make is something that is traditionally taught to me by my mother, is how to make what we call fungi, and that is basically boiled cornmeal with okra, and you got to whip it, and you got to work it, and you got to work it, and you got to work it until the grains them practically swells or become softened without that greeny feel. or that grainy taste. And then once it's to where it's whipped properly, the objective at that point is to then take it and put it into a bowl. And after you placed it into the bowl, then you would well, this is what we call turning and making the ball. Actually, you put it in the bowl and then you whip it around and it becomes into this cornmeal ball, which is fantastic. But we're gonna do that in the next segment. Right now, we just want to see what our group ahead fish tea soup is gonna be like and what it's gonna taste like. I will be the only one to tell you what that's like, but you have the opportunity to practice this at home and to taste it for yourself and tell me what you really think. And you could always put a twist to it. You could always put a twist to it. And that's the greatness of being creative, having that creative mind and creating such appetizing meals, is that you could always put a twist to it. When you do, that becomes your signature dish. So that's just one of the dynamics of being a chef, is that it is what you make it. It is what you make it. come back on the scene and see what we got. Oh man, we're gonna make sure we take a good look up front close. We're gonna stir this up and make sure that we can see all the chunks of the meat, as the meat itself is cooking through that. The okra, the potatoes, the yam, the tanyas. I mean, look at the richness. Flavor seems to be getting better and better as the longer it sits. And right about now, Chef Anthony's gonna go ahead and make him a little bowl. When you're trying to get you a good bowl, you want to make sure you dig it up from the bottom. Dig it up from the bottom up. All right, you want to get the bottom to come up. You don't just want the surface side. You want it down deep. All right, and that's what it looks like for Chef Anthony, y'all. Well, I'm telling you, hey. Better know what's good for you now. All right. This is some fish tea. And I'm taking the day off so I can enjoy myself. So I hope that you will take the day off and enjoy yourself too. Enjoy. And thank you for spending this time with Chef Anthony creating fish soup, or to those from the islands, fish tea. Be blessed. God bless you. And I pray to see you at the next segment.